Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jackie, for your introduction. My name's Mike Court, and I'm an international trade consultant, and I work for the company called International Trade Matters. You may not have heard of us. We provide all the training opportunities via the Hampshire Chamber of Commerce on international trade. So what we are as a team of experts based here in the UK, and we're here to advise, guide and consult on all matters to do with international trade. Like I said before, we are here to support the Chamber of Commerce in the pursuit of improving business knowledge within international trade. We are neither lawyers, accountants or VAT advisors, you'll be glad to know. As a specialist for international trade matters, I speak from experience, in my case, over 40 years of experience in international trade. And our accreditations are lying with the such like as the Institute of Export and the UK Customs Academy. And of course, all our information is gleaned from doing the job on the coalface like you are doing at the moment. So today we're going to be talking about a certain aspect of international trade, but before I broach the subject of common transit, I'm just going to remind you that when we talk about international trade, we talk about the exchange of capital goods and services across international borders and territories. As we are now an independent nation sat in the middle of the North Atlantic, anything that we purchase from outside of the UK and we bring into the UK is now classed as an import. And likewise, anything we sell overseas that leaves the UK shores are classed as an export. And that could be by a digital transfer, it could be by a lorry, it could go on an aircraft or on a ship. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it cross the international border, it's deemed either an import or an export. We have this international trade process in place, and it's well established over many years, where as an island nation, we have to find really good ways of moving our products overseas or bringing them from overseas. And again, as you can see on the screen, the process is quite simplistic. We have a seller or the exporter on one side, and we have a buyer or importer on the other side. And to get over all these hurdles, we have on the export side of things, we have export border controls. Here, the HM Revenue and Customs in this country want to know what is being exported. Where did those items come from? Why is it being exported? Can it be exported? And are there any fees involved with the exportation of those goods? And all those questions are answered on the export declaration you have to lodge with HM Revenue and Customs before the goods go across the channel. On the other side of the things, we obviously have the import side. So the import customs authorities want to know what is being imported, where did it come from, why is it being imported, can it be imported, and are there any fees on this? Now, the question here are, do they pay duty on those products? And is there any value added tax to be recorded? And all this comes under the disguise of the import customs declaration. Tying both the export and import declaration together is quite easy to do, but lots of people get into lots of trouble. We've got commodity codes, we've got country of origin, we've got customs procedure codes, we have the thorny issue of health certification and licensing, and of course, duty and taxes, all to be paid going forward. So since January of 2021, goods moving between the UK and other European nations will move between different customs territories and will require customs declarations. So that will comprise of the outbound export customs declaration for goods leaving one customs territory. And inbound, the customs declaration for goods entering to the other countries will need to be declared. Irrespective of who makes those customs declarations out, it could be Hampshire Customs Chamber making your customs declarations out for you. The liability for that declaration, be it import or export, is the responsibility of the importer and the exporter, not Hampshire Customs. So Incoterms, again, will determine who, the importer or the exporter, is responsible for the information on that declaration. So when we look at customs procedures, the principle of special procedures will inform how to match customs requirements of the customs declaration C88 with the product you are actually going to ship. And as you see on the screen in front of you, we have certain customs procedures we follow. We have those goods that have been imported and have been paid all duties and taxes, and these are released into free circulation on one side. We have the export declarations for exported products on the other, and in the middle, we have special procedures. And today's subject is all about transit. So the principles of the special procedures, again, transit, will inform how to match customs requirements of the customs declaration with the specifics of the trade you're involved in. The three customs procedures under which may be placed are released into free circulation, as we just said here in the UK, a customs special procedures, which we're going to talk about, and of course an export. The transit, we shall comprise external and internal transits. There are two different ones. One is called a T1 and one is called a T2. And as you can see in the middle of the screen, T1 is for an external community transit procedure from the UK into Europe or Europe to the UK. And one's an internal community transit, a T2, where you're shipping stuff, say, from Italy to the Czech Republic. The legal basis for the community transfer is the Common Transit Procedure, and it's been signed by the EU member states, Norway, Liechtenstein, Iceland, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. The common transit countries are ones inside, but I've added here Turkey and the Republic of North Macedonia and Serbia. And you'll be glad to know that the Ukraine is about to sign the common transit as well, so they become involved as well. And as you can see on the diagram on the screen in front of you, we're talking here about a commodity that's coming in from outside of the European Union. It's placed under the transit procedure. The lorry travels, the presentation of the documents at the destination. This is not the port of entry, but somewhere in the designated country. And then the re-exportation to a non-community product can go ahead, or they can assign it and put it into the EU themselves. So here in the UK, because we're using a T1 transit, we have a common transit logged in at the UK port. The transit accompanying document, you've probably heard of these, TAD, is given to the driver of the truck. The goods are then presented at the Customs Office of Transit. This is not in the port area, but some designated customs office. And then number four is the movement is supervised by customs until the destination. What do I mean by that? You don't get a customs officer jumping up in the cab with you, but it electronically monitored on its route. And then you arrive at the destination, you arrive at the transit destination office to get your transit document stamped and cancelled down. This is where lots of companies fall foul of the rules, where they do not open and close the transit documents and according to the legislation. I have a company down in Plymouth who were using transit, but the drivers of their trucks decided that they were going to take a different route across the channel, didn't go through the transit office here in the UK, and they didn't close out the customs declaration in the destination country. They certainly only did this once because the exporting company were hit with a £50,000 fine. So again, please be aware that if you're using third-party freight forwarders and you're using the common transit, they know the rules. Using the transit produces, again, allows for the temporary suspension of duties and taxes. It allows customs clearance formalities away from the destination ports, which obviously frees up port area and makes the customs flow a little bit easier. The customs transit is a customs procedure under which the goods are carried under customs control. So like I said, the documents are sent electronically, and it allows for the temporary suspension of all taxes and duties and any trade policy measures in place between buyer and seller's destination. Like I said, there are two distinct transits. The T1 you may have heard of. This is the most common one here in the UK. Now we've left the EU. The T1 is the external transit procedure, and it covers the movement of non-union goods, suspending the measures normally applicable to them on importation. And T2 is the internal transit procedure, covering the movement of goods, suspending the measures normally applicable to them within the common transit countries. We'll talk about each and every one of those as we go forward. Your T1, the T1, as it says on here, is called, for no certain reason, the customs, the Atlantic way, so to speak, because it links the UK with all these destinations under one document. T1 is used for the movement of non-community goods, the UK not being inside the customs union. It means that the external community transit procedure applies to those goods, that the customs status will change when it crosses the border and your customs documents have been cleared by the customs authorities in the receiving country. You are moved within the customs territory of the community, but without being subject to import duties and VAT. So for argument's sake, in Portsmouth, I pack up my lorry and I'm sending it to the Czech Republic. I can do that using a T1 document. I rock and roll up to Ashford in Kent with my T1 nominated document. It gets logged in there. I then drive straight to the port with my TAD document with the barcode on top, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Customs scan that, we jump on the ferry or the train, go across to the continent and drive seamlessly to our destination in the Czech Republic, where again, the lorry driver has to report to a customs office to get the T1 ended, i.e. I've arrived in my destination country, and then he is free to deliver the goods. Where a T2 is slightly different, the TT is used for the movement of community within the European Union. It means that the internal community, transit procedure applies within that customs territory alone. You cannot use a T2 to move goods from Italy to the UK. It has to be a T1 document. We've also seen on the lorries that come across TIR, the International Road Transport, which allows streamlining procedures at the border, which reduces the administrative burden for customs authorities and for transport and logistics companies. And it cuts border waiting times significantly, saving time and money. Why do they do that? Well, the cargo under TIR convention shall be exempt from customs clearance at the border if the vehicle has a certificate allowing for road transport between the countries with customs seals applied to the load. Customs seals must fulfill certain criteria, and the customs authorities have accepted the designated route. The primary legislation for the TIR procedure is the Customs Convention on International Road Transport of Goods covered under the TIR-Carney Convention of 1975. To that effect, it formed an alliance of national passenger and freight road transportation associated with European countries, and it has been rolled out to lots of people involved in the common transit process. The idea was to make trade easier and faster by allowing goods to be shipped from a country of origin through the transit countries to a country of destination in sealed loads, or sealed loads, I should say. The loading compartments are controlled by customs in a multilateral and mutually recognized manner. There are lots and lots of trucks now with TIR plates, with approximately 1 million TIR carnets issued every year, and over 10,000 transport and logistic companies covering some 80,000 trucks. Please don't take those numbers as gospel. They were at the end of 2022 figures. Today, trucks operate under the TIR carnet use one single international guarantee for a journey from start to finish. Even for intermodular transport, it is an easy, secure, and reliable way to move goods across the borders. But being straightforward in bilateral agreements is not taken as just. We have to follow the rules like everything else. So how does the TIR work then? So TIR enables goods to transit from the country of origin to the country of destination in the sealed load. We've heard about that. The controls are by HM Revenue and Customs or European Border Security Force, and they are mutually recognized across those territories. Goods move from the customs office of departure, which is not within the port area, in one country to a customs office of destination in another country under cover of the international accepted customs transit documents, the TIR carnet, which also provides a financial guarantee for the payment of the suspended duties and taxes if something goes wrong. The TIR Convention provides for an internationally recognized procedure to facilitate the cross-border transportation of goods in transit through the use of a standard internationally recognized format. So that is the TIR system. So what you need before you move your goods, to move your goods, you use the NTCS, a URI 1 number or Common Transit Country Trader Identification Number. We should all be familiar now with URI numbers. Obviously, on the documentation, we'll need your business address and a guarantee, a customs guarantee in place. The Customs Declaration Service, or CDS, as it is now known, you will need to enter the number for free circulation goods and details of the vehicle transporting the goods and a description of the goods. That's what you'll need to take advantage of the TIR system. So once you've provided the necessary information, you will have a customs transit document. Okay, and if you look at the screen in front of you, I've emphasized the place in the barcode position. Provide all the necessary information your customs intermediary asks for to enable them to complete the export declaration and the transit declaration. Complete an export declaration using the NES system. So again, you may get your freight forwarders to do that, or customs will do that for you, or Chamber of Customs will do it for you. It will be given a unique consignment reference number. Then complete a transit declaration on the new computerized transit system, NCTS, which will give you another unique reference number. You need to start your transit movements at either an authorized consignor address, i.e. you register under CDS for authorized consignor, or you get your freight forwarders to do that for you. Ensure the person taking your goods has either the transit accompanying document, the TAD, okay, in their hand, okay, before they depart, and make sure they know which transit offices here in the UK and overseas they have to visit. The paper TAD needs to accompany the transit movement throughout its journey. So the driver has one piece of paper to hand to customs. You need to keep records of the goods you have exported to the EU for 7 years. You may need these to claim any appropriate reliefs and refunds. And goods moving under the community or common transit must be accompanied by the transit accompanying document, the TAD. And the TAD can be printed out at a customs office if you haven't got a printer to hand, or if authorized on the trader's own premises. So if you're authorized to start and finish transit, you can do it at your own premises. So I've covered these last two slides and what I've just been talking about, but please remember that goods moving under the transit procedure must be accompanied by this TAD at all times. It is useful if your goods are diverted for any reason. The port authorities say that you can't use this ferry, you have to go to a different port. You still got one document. And there are incidents during transit. Again, you'll need the documents at hand to prove what you are carrying. This document includes your consignment movement reference number, which is printed in a numeric form and as a barcode. You must print barcodes to the ISO code 128 standard, and rather than the standard EAN 128 to make sure it can be read across the border with electronic devices. When consigning multiple items, you must also send a list of those items with the TAD. So you may have a multi-drop consignment going out. So you just need to have one TAD, but all the other paperwork behind it. The TAD can be printed by customs offices. As I said, if you haven't got a printer, okay, it is often authorized, I should say, by the system. So please do not need, you don't need to stamp it in any shape or form. It is computer generated by the customs system. You'll need the new computerized transit system. Okay, if you are a UK trader, you should use the NCTS to submit electronic transit declarations. The common transit procedure can be used for movements between the UK, the EU, and the other common transit countries I mentioned at the top of the show. You must use the system if you're a trader and want to move goods under the common transit. And you can keep up to date with news on that by signing up and reading the Community Common Transit and TIR newsletters. That's if you want, if you suffer from insomnia, that is. What you need, you use the online service. You can sign up by your government gateway. You can register for one of the first time you access your system. You only need to register once. Access to a computer you will need that can download and print Adobe Acrobat PDF documents. Again, that is a must. Specific settings enable you on your internet browser. Again, it will log on and you can thumbprint to the NCTS, and good quality printer in your office that can print barcodes to the standard required, as I've just mentioned. To access your NCTS, you can either use a third-party software provider This may be useful if you are running a large business and it's possible to integrate it with other import or export software. And lots of the FIDE community providers out there have an opportunity to link your system with the package for transit. And there is a free to use NCTS web channel, and this is designed for traders who are low volume users only. So please remember that going forward. If you've got low volume, you don't need to register, you can use the web channel. If you're a large or medium-sized business doing a lot of trade, you need to use the NCTS system linked to your government gateway and CDS. So what happens after you submit your declaration? So by submitting a transit declaration into NCTS, you're indicating that you intend to move the goods using a specific route to a final destination. If there are errors, the system will tell you what you need to correct before your declaration will be accepted. The Customs Office of Departure will be notified that the goods are en route to them. The Customs Office will check and validate your request before your goods are released. That is where you have to rock and roll up to the Customs Office here in the UK and get your TAD scanned, basically, and it links up and declares that the goods are now ready to go. The system sends you a movement reference number, and your goods will be allowed to travel by the border force when it arrives at the port. You won't get stopped because it's already been pre-lodged. When your goods are released, the system will tell any other customs office involved in the transit that your journey has been completed. That is why it's important to go to the customs offices declared. GVMS is something that has been brought out, and we're all involved with GVMS now. It's not only for the movement of goods from Northern Ireland to the rest of the UK, it reflects everything we do here by truck. Where the truck comes in, it has a multiple drops here, 3 unique reference numbers are put onto one truck, 1 GMR is raised, and the goods are free to go across the channel. We also have to talk about ATA Carnet, and for use when sending goods overseas for demonstrations, trials of professional equipment, or samples, of course. The ATA Carnet ensures that there are no duties and taxes are paid unnecessarily in the importing country, but they cover all the goods that you want to send without the need of any other paperwork. ATA Carnets are available from the local Chamber of Commerce, or most of them anyway. There is a one-off setup fee for a carnet, and the ATA carnet lasts for 12 months. The goods have to be of UK origin or having paid all the duty and taxes on those goods, so therefore being in free circulation. The restrictions on ATA Carnet is that the goods have to get arrived back in the UK within 12 months of issue in an unaltered state. So I advise that if you're sending a demonstration or you're going to a trade show, all the freebies you normally go with that sort of event, you either purchase locally or get them sent forward in the normal course of events, making a normal import and export. The goods must be wholly manufactured in the UK, as I've just said, or with a duty paid. Return to the original country in an unaltered state before the carnet runs out, within normally 12 months. And the carnets are issued by the Chamber of Commerce. In summing up then, on customs transit, there is certainly advantages with using transit. First of all, it keeps the port area clear of certain vehicles. If you're sending full loads, you should ask for a TIR plated lorry that are traveling under customs supervision with lockable and sealable containers. Again, if you're using curtain siders, You will have the security rope along the bottom. Make sure that is secured with the security stamp. That will speed up the transit of that lorry through both sides of the border with customs. So these advantages of the transit is that they are bilateral and multilateral and facilitate the flow of goods through customs without the lorries being stopped and the duties and taxes being suspended from the country of export to the country of import. Now they're designed for to support smooth trade flows in and around the countries that have signed up for the transit procedure. Again, and obviously people are interested in the suspension of duties because it's a cost-saving measure. But please, when you take out, if you're going to go down the route of common transit, please be aware that the TAD is the most important piece of paperwork, and all the information on there is gleaned from the information you provide on your your commercial invoices and packing list to your freight forwarder or your customs agent. They are only as good as the information you can supply them. So make sure that your documents are clear and accurate before you send them forward. And then when you have a conversation with your freight forwarders or your truck haulage company to move the goods via transit, they are aware of which customs transit office here in the UK and the transit office in the importing country they have to visit to close your documents off. HMRC is a really good way for HMRC to come down on an exporting company if those transit documents have not been closed correctly and you have the displeasure then of being served with a notice from HMRC because you have failed to be compliant. Jackie, thank you very much. That covers a very, very quick, in a nutshell, common transit. We covered a lot of ground there, talking about TIR conventions. We're talking about T1s, T2s, and ATA carnets. So again, if anybody wants further information, please reach out to Jackie or myself at International Trade Matters, and we can be of further assistance to you. Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks very much, Mike.